live painting and chat session. If you were here last week, thank you. I appreciate you joining. And if you've come back or you're about to come back, then I appreciate you being here. So tonight I'm just working on this dragon. Her name is Honey. And that's what she does. She provides and delivers and makes and anything to do with honey, that's what she does. Helps provide nectar and food, nourishment for all of the creatures in her land, especially the moths and butterflies. So, last week I just kind of reintroduced myself and chatted a little bit about where I grew up, you know, kind of a little bit about my career tattooing, just a little bit about me, really. I don't know where I really left off, but I will continue tonight a bit, and I'm going to chat, I think, about just talking a little bit more about my art and what inspires me in tattoos and all of that, and what I like to do, why I draw what I draw, and just go from there, I guess. At the end of the video, I'm going to pull a little card like I did last time to do some spiritual guidance stuff. If, you know, if it helps anybody, dope. And if it doesn't, then just leave it here. And it wasn't for you, so. It's been a beautiful day. If you guys know anything about, you know, Carl Jung and, you know, manifestation type alignment, you know, beliefs and studies and all of that, I've been really honing in on that lately and trying to stay aligned and in the flow and in the energy of trusting and receiving and taking action when I feel the need to take action, where it's not forced or out of obligation or anything like that. So it's actually been going really well. I'll share it with you guys probably next week, but lots of good news this week and some changes going on in my career. So like I said, I'll be sharing that with you guys next week, but for now, just know that being in alignment and waking up each day, taking the time to do so is so important, and it's just important of what's necessary that we need to really implicate in each day, really, of our lives, because it's what keeps us in the flow. It's what keeps us out of getting stuck in the loop of just everyday life and having the same life and the same thoughts and the same experiences all day, every day, for years sometimes. So if you want to break out of that loop and just attract to yourself what you desire, it is about alignment. It's not about how much you do, how little you do. It really isn't, you guys. So try to, you know, remember that and get yourself aligned in the morning into the mode of gratitude, into the feeling of gratitude, because what you focus on comes to you. And so focusing on everything in your life that you're grateful for, big or small, will bring big or small more things that you can be grateful for. Since our outer world reflects our inner world, it will do just that. If you're focused on worry and lack and what you can't do, you know, all the stuff that you think you can't do right now, then you're going to attract more things that you can't handle and that, you know, just seem impossible and that are heavy and that are burdens and it's just seeming like everything's going wrong. If everything seems like it's going wrong in your life, I promise you, it's to do with your mindset. Before I get into my chat about my art and stuff like that, I'm going to touch on this subject a little bit more and give you an example of a friend I was talking to the other day about their situation. I've been speaking to them a little about it here and there, you know, kind of trying to help them have a different perspective, but to also obviously, you know, lighten the load for them if I could of what's going on in their life. So, the situation, just a couple things that had happened the other day. They were, I'm not using names or anything, but this person and a couple of their friends were working on a car of theirs, right? And it was up on the jack, on the, like the high jack. I can't remember what those are, like the suspended ones, right? And working on the car forever. I was checking in on them, seeing how they were doing. And, you know, I could tell that they sounded a bit tired and kind of like frustrated with working on the car and maybe not getting much progress done or whatever. It had been some hours and they were up early working on it. Well, then the person, so it sounded a little complainy, right? Like, again, frustrated and stuff like that. So then, I don't know, 20 minutes or so later, it started raining. And so they had texted me, of course, now it's raining. And so to try to give them a different perspective, I told them, you know, maybe that's just your sign that you're not supposed to be working on the car anymore, that it's time for you to stop or at least take a break, right? Maybe start again tomorrow or whatever. To me, that's what that is telling you, that that's a sign that you're supposed to stop. So he, hi Izzy, how are you, babe? So that, he didn't, okay? They kept working through the rain, a couple sprinkles. It may have slowed down or whatever, but they all kept working on the car. And then about a half hour or so later, I got a text saying that one of the people working on the car got injured because the car fell, okay? Thank God he wasn't injured bad. He's okay, but how fucking scary, right? And what I was saying, and oh, it's nice to see you too. I appreciate it. Thank you. And so I brought to his attention, you know, didn't we talk about, he agreed with me at the time too, that, you know, that's a good idea. That's probably stopping, you know, just taking a break or just stopping for now and reconvening tomorrow with the car was a good idea. And then that's what happened. So when we don't listen to our intuition and we try to rush through things or do things that we don't like to do, that we don't want to do, bad stuff is going to happen. And you're going to get met with more frustration and more situations like that, right? That are kind of dramatic and kind of scary and could have been very detrimental to his life and his health. So another situation, the same person, okay? I didn't bring this to their attention all at the same time because this other thing had happened in the meantime. And so within the last couple of days, I went and chatted with them and, you know, let them know like, hey, can I just give you, you know, the perspective on it of what we were talking about before. So a couple of days ago, this person doesn't have good boundaries. They don't know how to say no very well. They say yes when they don't want to say yes. They pretty much give their power away. Get called into work all the time. Don't take time off, time for themselves, stuff like that. So the other day, finally, on their day off, they told me that they were gonna go fishing. Cool, right? Like, I'm just gonna go fishing, try to clear my head, but my friends wanna go with me and they don't, you know, I wanna drive and they wanna ride with me. They don't wanna drive, right? And so he had told them yes, even though clearly he did not want that situation to happen. And everybody rode together. And I found out later that something happened with the car. He ended up, I don't want to say carburetor, some shit happened with the car that it broke down. A 40-minute drive, it broke down outside of town. So imagine how long that walk is. That's exactly what happened. He had to walk all the way back, however long that is, a 40-minute drive. I'm telling you all because he didn't stand up for himself and his inner world was, you know, without his power, he wasn't standing in his power. So what happened? He gave his power away, and in turn, that's what the universe gave him back. That's what God gave him back, was some more of his power taken away because his outer was matching his inner. If he would have said no, if he would have stood up for himself, you know, it probably wouldn't have happened. I've been in similar situations where a long time ago where I used to get really, really frustrated with situations, people, like whatever. I was just very reactive to things. And every single time, don't you know it, like clockwork, what would happen? I would hurt myself, you know, like drop something, hit my head. The other person would be reactive too, would get into an argument, maybe get into an accident. It's happened multiple times. Since I've changed my perspective and my mindset about things, that shit doesn't happen anymore because I have my power within and I'm in control then of my outer, for the most part, not what's happening that way, but I can deal with any situations that come upon me that may be frustrating or causing impatience or whatever in my life, but I can deal with it with grace and with knowing of, hey, I need to follow my intuition about this and just say no in this situation, or this is what I need to do, take this action, or I need to rest for myself today, whatever it is. I've met reactive people with peace and with kindness, and the situation didn't escalate anymore. And it was like, you know, I controlled the situation with how I dealt with it. So just a heads up, guys, all right? My point to my friend was, when I pointed this stuff out to him, was that if you really believe and you know, and I've told you, your outer world reflects your inner, you're accepting things into your life that you don't want, therefore you're getting more things in your life that you don't want. And that's exactly what happened to him and why his ass had to walk, you know, a 40-minute drive back to wherever he needed to go. So just a little bit of a side lesson today for everybody. Hopefully that'll bring some clarity to you guys. But walking around grumpy and angry and frustrated all the fucking time is not going to get you anywhere. So, all right, let's chat about some art for a minute then. As I said last week, I let you guys know I started drawing when I was around 2 years old. With lovely support from my mom. She's always supported me and just let me go in the corner and draw and color and do all the things, even though when I was little, nothing to do with her, but man, I just remember, for one, being with my coloring book and my crayons was like one of the most spectacular things that I could do in my life, all day, every day. But I used to draw, one of my favorite things to draw when I was little was houses. You know, the house, the little picket fence, the flowers, the dog in the back with the sun, you know, your little family, whatever. And I would draw that over and over and over. And I go back to this time when I'm being too hard on my art, or I feel like I'm not in a creative space where I'm letting it flow and I'm feeling forced to do whatever I'm doing. Hi guys, thank you. That I go back to that time when I was little, when I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a shit if what I was drawing was the same thing all day, every day, because let me tell you, I would draw that house and that fence and those flowers over and over and over, and it just made me happy. And I didn't give a fuck that it was the same thing. I didn't worry that I was gonna post the wrong thing on fucking Instagram and that people were gonna judge me for wanting to keep drawing this house and these flowers and this sunshine over and over and over, right? I just kept doing it because it fucking made me happy. So we lose that when we get older, and as an adult, sometimes before we even get to adulthood, we lose that spark. We lose that sense of passion and wonder and creativity and of not giving a fuck when you're a kid. You know, even if you had a shit childhood, hopefully at some point you can remember of what it felt like to feel like that. You know what I mean? So for one, again, drawing those little houses over and over and over, not really getting any better, to be honest with you, for the most part, but just kept on doing my thug thizzle and doing what I was doing. And then eventually I got to the point where I learned how to do, so you know, you just like draw the normal house as a kid, right? You have the little triangle and then you draw the rectangle on it, right? Door, flat, fucking flower, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leaves, there you go, right? Well, when I just about dipped this in my ashtray. Anyways, when I got to get a little bit older, not much older, but I learned a bit, right? I saw, I don't know, maybe it was on TV, on Mr. Rogers or Sesame Street or some shit. Reading Rainbow, who knows? But I saw that you could make the house 3D, right? So you did the triangle, the rectangle at the bottom, and then you drew the side parts on it so it looked like you could see the front and the side of the house. Boy, let me tell you, when I thought I was hot shit, when I figured out how to do that for that house, guess what I was drawing 5 times a day, every day then? You motherfucking right, I was drawing the house with the little side part to it. Maybe added a couple more flowers since I had a bit more yard, a bit more land to work with in my house, right? But yeah, again, back to the childhood wonder and just, you know, being in your element and not giving a fuck what anybody thinks. I thought I was hot shit knowing how to do that and being able to draw that. And I didn't care what anybody thought. And that, man, that feeling I can still feel from when I was younger of like, damn, I did that. Okay, you know? So I do have to remind myself these days still, not as much because I've worked through a lot of that and gotten to where I am or whatever. Yeah, for real. And gotten to where I am. I'm still hot shit. I might draw one of them houses. Matter of fact, this week I'll revert back to that child mindset and just do my basic little house with my crayons and just be done with it and post that shit. I might do that later. We'll see. But for real, just go back to that, because when you guys are creating and figuring out, you know, your passions of what you want to do, or maybe you're switching careers, or maybe you've always been interested in doing something else creative or something else that has been, again, more passionate for you, something that you were drawn to as a little kid, that just made you happy and you just could do it for 100 hours a day and have no issues with it, like not even look at the time. It felt like 15 minutes, right? You know, that type of zone that you get in, I'm telling you, if there's a zone you can get in like that for your career, for your livelihood, for what you want to do, you should be doing that. And if you're not, you should switch over to that, because that's going to make your life so much more fulfilled, and you're going to be doing what you are made and meant to do here, right? I don't feel like we're meant to, me and Izzy were just talking about this the other day. I don't feel like we're meant to be here. We don't, you know, we're not here to survive. We're here to live and experience and grow and explore and all of that stuff. So if we're out here doing a whole bunch of shit we don't want to be doing, as in a career, a job, whatever it is, and you wonder why your life is shit and you hate it and you don't want to wake up every day and you're grumpy every day you wake up, you need to really make some changes. It's not fucking easy sometimes. You have to say no, you have to be an adult, you have to stand up to people and tell them, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. No matter what the ramification is, if they want to be an asshole to you, if they want to be vindictive or whatever, that's not your business. Like, that karma will come back around to them eventually for having those issues. If you just stay in your power and separate yourself from what is no longer for you. I've had to do it all week. I've had to speak with people and tell people no thank you, like, you know, got offered some things, had to say no, had to have some difficult conversations with people, but I had to do it to step into this new life and the new way that I want to do things, right? Because I'm not accepting of anything that I don't want anymore. So I have to be the one to do that. I can't rely on other people to be like, oh, you don't want that? Sorry, I won't do that anymore. No, I have to be the one to put my foot down and have the strong boundaries of whether it's somebody that's just super negative around you, somebody that maybe is just mean, you know, maybe they just hate themselves so much that they treat everybody like crap. You don't have to put up with it just because you maybe work there. Maybe it's your boss. Maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad, you know, maybe it's somebody close to you. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to put up with that shit. And you putting up with it in your life is bringing more shit that you have to put up with that you don't want in your life. That is just draining your fucking battery, guys. You know, your power is like gone. So stand up for your fucking selves, please. Step in your power. Go back to that childlike state where you just create from your heart, not for money, not for anything else, and find your true passions in this life and live how you're supposed to live, because there's some shit that you're supposed to be showing and learning and teaching, other people. It might seem irrelevant to you, but it's not. It could just be the way that you do your makeup. How do you know that you're not the next wonderful, perfect, exceptional makeup person in the world that's just showing everybody how to do things because you do things a little bit different? But you're afraid to show the world because you're too busy judging yourself and just keeping it to yourself. Who gives a fuck what other people think, dude? If you think it's dope and it's a better, different way to do things, then put it out there. and keep putting it out there, and don't let anybody tell you any different, because if anyone wants to talk some bullshit about it, they're probably just jealous that they didn't come up with it first. So fuck them, you know. We don't got time for that shit around here. So enjoying my little houses when I was younger and getting into my 3D houses. I just have been drawing ever since and trying to better myself ever since. I did have, though, I kind of chuckled because there was a long point, and I still sometimes in my brain it tries to creep in. There was a long point of time where with my art, I thought for a very long time, even since it must have been just past the 3D house stage, because again, I was the shit back then. So somewhere, somebody's insecurities or something got into my brain of where it was like, well, I'm not a real artist if I don't, like, if I can't just draw a realistic tiger out of my head right now, right? Fucking being like 8 years old. Like, so a lot of my life, I'd never said I was a real artist. I never would consider myself a real artist because of that, you know, maybe a bit of imposter syndrome and shit like that. But, you know, I've gotten through it a bit. There are still times where I think, you know, I think that's all creatives or most all people maybe with what they're doing. But it was that to where I was like, I don't know. It was almost like I wouldn't use reference either, right? I would need the reference to do the drawing to whatever I was doing to be able to learn to draw it. Maybe I could eventually draw a tiger out of my brain if I would use the reference and learn, you know, how to draw it and get used to it and stuff like that. But I didn't do that either. So I was stuck in a really weird fucking rock and a hard place, really, of thinking I wasn't good enough, thinking I wasn't even an artist, still loving to draw and wanting to do it all the time, but thinking that I wasn't shit at it, you know what I mean? And that I couldn't really do much with it in my life. I think I talked last week a little bit to where it was, I think I talked about how I only thought that my choices for art as a career were either a graphic artist or a tattoo artist back when I was a teenager. So I didn't want to do anything with the graphic arts because I'm not much of a computer person. And so I chose tattooing, which I don't regret at all. Like, it's been an awesome fucking career. But yeah, even with tattooing, I would think that, and just overwork and overdo and over analyze things, overthink all of that stuff of I'm doing it wrong, I'm not doing it right, they're not doing it like this, I'll never get there, all of that shit that we talk to ourselves, right? As soon as I fucking let go a little bit and just let myself be and let myself know, you know, use references and really go look at other artist stuff and know that they are using references also and that it's okay and that's how you learn and grow. Man, it took such a weight off my shoulders for how I do art and things like that. So it was quite a relief when I did finally realize that. I definitely consider myself an artist now, you know what I mean? It's not, there's no fucking question in my mind. That is who I am, what I am, and that's it. You could strip everything else away from me. I would still want to draw and paint, and I'd find some shit around me to do lines, you know, create lines in something, whether it was carving or whatever, but I would find a way to, you know, mush up some flowers and paint some cave walls or something. Trust me, because it's always what I've gone back to. It's what I'm almost addicted to in a way of, if I didn't have to do the other normal things that we have to do as a human and as an adult and, you know, having responsibilities that we do, I would literally just wake up and go straight to painting and hanging out with my plants and just being out there and just doing that all day and going to bed and getting up and doing it again. I would get tiresome after a while, burnout, of course, all that. But you know what I mean? That's how much I'm drawn to it. You know what I mean? So, drawn to it. See what I did there? So, my influences growing up, I grew up, again, in Ohio. I think I talked about that last week. And grew up on Bone Thugs and Harmony, hip-hop, 80s music, old school hip-hop, rap, Too Short, Tupac, you know, all the old school rap. I grew up on that stuff. Trying to out-rap my cousins. I grew up with all boy cousins, so I'm a bit of a tomboy. And just being around that type of influence, made me kind of know way too many lyrics to way too many songs, probably, trying to outdo them. But we've always had fun with music, and it's really been a big part of my life, and has an influence on my art also. I'm going to be doing more of, but I have actually done a lot of paintings with musicians or rappers or, you know, artists like that I admire. Tupac was a big one for me, just how poetic he was. Of course, I thought he was pretty cute too, you know, as about everybody did, I think. But it really was about how poetic he was with what he did, and the things he said and how he said them, which I think is why most of us are drawn to him, right? But I've painted him quite a few times. Ice Cube, Prince, love me some Prince, of course. Partly why I call my my pup Tarragon, I call him my Purple Prince. And yeah, just all the influences from the 80s, the 80s music, like Prince, Michael Jackson, of course, all of that. I was super blessed to be able to see Michael Jackson in concert. I have not actually painted him yet. I should do that. I've done Prince a couple times, like I said, Bob Marley. Actually, I have one of my tiny portraits that I have a video time lapse of somewhere. I think it's on my YouTube, but let me see. Which was super fun, which I want to do more of. But here's a tiny portrait I did of Tupac. That was, it was just a lot of fun to do. So I have more of these tiny canvases, so I should do a few more, I think, of those. But it's me skipping around. So, ooh, I want to do that. It's very much a squirrel type deal in my brain, of bouncing around to different ideas that I want to do, painting and creating, and I want to do some clay stuff and all of that, right? So I'm sure you guys know exactly what that's like. But yeah, so the musical influences that I've had, wanting to draw and paint them. I've always done portraits. I've always done faces. I love to paint and draw women, especially Victorian women, tribal women. Those are big influences in my life too. I love meshing and hybriding those two together. So, oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So yeah, it's kind of a weird mix that I do within my drawings and my paintings, where I like to do Victorian jewelry and the color palettes from back then that are kind of muted, lacy type stuff. I love all of that influence. Have you guys ever seen Penny Dreadful? I think it's on Netflix, but it's a series, an older series. I highly doubt they're doing new shows, new episodes of it anymore. But if they are, let me know, because I haven't checked it out in a while. But that feel of that show is really, I don't know, that can kind of give you the idea of the feel of the Victorian part that I'm talking about. That was really influential. Kind of the dark, again, lacy, a bit creepy. I love Victorian houses. Those are some of my favorite houses ever. I would love to have one sometime. But Penny Dreadful with the Victorian stuff. Oh, the jewelry. But then I love to mix that also with tribal things, right? Tribal stuff, nature. So like, you know, warrior type weapons, fur, leather, mixed with the jewelry, mixed with, you know, a unique looking person, usually a woman, you know, a beautiful woman that's adorned in this type of stuff with mixes of the influences around her. Mix that with how much I love Alphonse Mucha and Art Nouveau and Art Deco and things like that. All kinds of things going on in here. So I try to get them out the best I can, but I do have to work on things one at a time, right? Trying not to scatter my energy too much to work on what I can do. But I also do a lot of fantasy type stuff. Of course, being the Dragon Queen, I love drawing and painting dragons, and things like that. So I appreciate you guys being here and checking this out with me. I'm not going to do a super long video tonight, but I did want to share some of that stuff with you. I really would like to mesh some more of what I was just talking about together. It's been a while since I've done that, since I've been trying to do some experimenting with some of my creations and things like that. I'm sure some of you guys saw, but like the Black Forager, I just finished her. She's an awesome lady who does lots of nature stuff and stuff with mushrooms on her. I'm on her IG. She's on a bunch of the other stuff too, though. But she's just a lovely human, and so you can see some influences there. Part of it was the outfit she was wearing was inspirational. It was a bit Renaissance feel, but she had the corset on. So again, that makes me think of Victorian times and outfits and stuff like that too. But mixed with just her gorgeous features and then the nature part of it. I love mushrooms myself. I take mushrooms. I mean, I do take mushrooms sometimes, but I meant to say I love to take pictures of mushrooms. So on my walk in the morning with my little love bug, I got my camera out usually, and there's mushrooms all over our walk in the morning. I live here in Florida, so it's the perfect climate to have them and check them out, which is one of my favorite things to do in the daytime. So, man, I found purple mushroom the other day. If you know me, you know my favorite color is purple, and that shit was the highlight of the day. I know it seems so small, but that's how I remain grateful too. I love little things like that, and I love sharing stuff like that with other people, because there's things out here that make you happy like that, and just share them with those that share that feeling with you, right? Not anybody that's going to be negative or knock you down or shit on, the enjoyments of life that you have. So again, that's part of making sure you stand in your power, not giving it away too much, and having firm and strong boundaries with people to not pull into your life what you don't want. Because again, you will do that. If you're accepting what you don't want from people and from life, then you're going to get more of it. Once you stop that, and again, it's kind of hard sometimes, standing up for yourself and having to go through maybe some conflict or some backlash from someone or something. But if you really are feeling and knowing within your soul, your intuition strongly, it's what you need to do for yourself, then it is. As soon as you do, you're going to start to see things switch in your life and flip over and really take a turn for the better. It's fucking magical how it works. I know it's all about energies. I do believe in magic, but it is a magical thing to see. I like weed and mushrooms, actually. Cannabis is one of my favorite plants. You can see I have a bit of a mandala cannabis tattoo on my forehead there. I've always loved that plant, believed in its healing abilities. And then mushrooms with the same with, I do like to microdose sometimes, but I feel like they're very healing and very helpful sometimes with guidance and with just our path in life sometimes. That's what the earth is for. We are one with the earth. We have the earth here, God, Great Spirit. It created this for us to, things out here for us to utilize to our benefit and to experience and, just, bro, it's nature. Of course it's healing, right? I believe nature is healing. I'm very much a believer in the holistic type ways of doing things, so. All right, I think I'm gonna pull a card and then close out I almost said the reading, it's not a reading. Kind of is a reading in a way, I guess, but close out the life painting with the card and whatever advice it has for us for tonight. I've been wanting to incorporate my spiritual readings and my spiritual work that I do with my painting attempt, kind of like a Bob Ross type deal going on in a way, but in a different type of way of whatever I can offer to help people. Sir George, I live in the US, I live in Florida. So to help people if I can with their journey and to make it just a little bit easier for you guys and to make sure that you're expressing yourself authentically and to the best of your ability without letting anybody hinder what you want in this life, right? If you're not hurting anybody or yourself, go for it. I'm telling you. So, all right, let's pull a card. I didn't talk too much about my art and stuff, but a little bit, really. Alphonse Mucha is one of my biggest influences. I am just in love with his art and could stare at it all day. I've done some tribute pieces to him too. If you've not checked out his stuff, go check it out. M-U-C-H-A. It looks like Mucha, but it's Mucha. Yeah, just go check him out and his work. He's just, man. There's a lot of other people that have influenced me, but that's definitely top guy there, so. All right, so a little bit. I want one card, please, for some guidance today for everyone before we leave to close off with. Perfect. Oh, Tupac kind of matches the cards today. Look at that. So we've got lots of greens, blues, and reds going on. Greens, of course, are all about your heart chakra. So that correlates with us needing to stand up for ourselves and self-love, take care of ourselves where we need to, and say no where we need to. Blue is all about our throat chakra, communication. So what do you have to do to stand up for yourself? Communicate that. Say no, right? Correlates exactly with what we were speaking of. And then the red, which there's not much red in the card. There's some purples there and pinks. But anyway, we'll just go with Pac's colors. With the red, has to do with your root chakra, staying grounded and what you want, and rooted into the earth, into your ideas, your passions, and again, what you want for this life. So all that goes together. Oh, beautiful. Love. We were just talking about what we said, the green for the heart chakra. Pink is also for the heart chakra too, but self-love, guys. I mean, that is the main thing. Self-love is not selfish, because when you take care of yourself, it's actually more giving, because then you're able to take care of others around you and really be more present and stuff for them, right? Once you feel good. Once you feel good, your cup is overflowed, then you can give from that overflow. Remember, don't give from your full cup. Your full cup is for yourself. You keep that shit. When it overflows and then you have a bit extra, then you can give that away, okay? So don't deplete yourself. The love card says, the love that you seek is waiting to be made manifest. You'll know when it arrives, for love always looks for the best in others and is recognized in an instance. Love is your true nature, and it's necessary for you to honor the compassion you feel in your heart. When you're true to yourself, your light shines brightly with divine love, nourishing you from within and inspiring those around you. Heartbreak, loss, and rejection has caused your heart chakra to shrink, and your fears have become guarded and defensive. But have faith, for a little magic will bring about the satisfaction your heart requires in order to be whole. I know it's hard after heartbreak, you guys, to get back out there. It could be not even just with relationships. It could be disappointments within family members, within your job, your boss, friends. Any of that stuff can be, cause for heartbreak, disappointment, and for you to just want to throw in the towel and say, fuck it. But it really is a learning experience every time. You can let yourself be in the anger for a minute and the frustration, like sit in that for just a second, right? Let yourself feel it. That's okay. These are emotions we all have within us. So feel it. Allow yourself to feel it for a second, right? Don't shut it down or ignore it. And then once you've done that, then contemplate for a second of where the lesson is in it. There's always a lesson or a different perspective or some way that that situation can help you, or that you can grow from and say, hey, I'm not going to put up with that shit again. The next time the situation comes back around, I know where I can need to and will cut it off at the next point, right? So magical meanings also of this card, or to work with a rose quartz crystal. Accept and believe in who you are, right? Standing in your power, bro. We've been talking about this shit. That's why I love pulling a card afterwards, because it always fucking goes with what we were talking about. It's safe both to give and receive love, okay? Yes, don't just give of your overflow either. Know that you are worthy of accepting it also, right? The love that you want to give and that you do give, and the wonderful person that you are, you deserve to receive that also. So try not to let fear or past experiences block you from doing so, right? That doesn't mean you let any old creep in when they want to try to show you some love, right? Not true love, but you know what I'm saying? Attention, things like that. Your discernment of reading, your intuition and listening to it will be better, because you'll know, hey, this isn't for me. That's not the type of love, but this is the type of love, in this aspect that I can receive, I'm worthy of receiving, and I will receive. Also, honor your true feelings. So, perfect. Like I said, beautiful card. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I'll be back next Thursday. Yeah, next Thursday I should be able to do. If not, it might be a Wednesday. But next Thursday, I think it'll be good for us. So I'll see you next Thursday. I'll work on some more paintings and we'll chat a little bit more. And I love you guys. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you next week. See you.